This tragic crash, the latest in an uptick, sadly, in major aviation accidents in recent years. Last year, there were 15 flight and 2 ground Class A incidents, meaning incidents that killed service members or cost more than $2.5 million in damage. And the spike has put a pause on some flight operations right now to look at safety procedures. There is also concern over the air traffic controller staffing situation the night of the deadly crash. The AP initially reporting that staffing was not normal. At the time, the FAA citing one person was responsible for coordinating helicopter traffic and arriving and departing planes. Another source telling the AP that it is normal for one controller to be doing 2 people's jobs at that time, like when there's a shift change or someone is on a break. Here now, aviation attorney and private pilot Timothy Loranger. Thank you for being with us. As I'm thinking about the airspace in Washington, D.C., one of the most busy and congested in the country, what are the challenges that pilots face when both military aircraft are doing training exercises and commercial or passenger planes are trying to take off and land?
Well, the challenges are really for the air traffic controllers. When all of this activity is occurring around the airport, they are responsible for separating the aircraft, keeping them in a safe position so that they don't have conflicts like we saw in this tragedy. Pilots, of course, also are responsible for looking out of the aircraft, using the instruments within the aircraft to ensure that they keep an appropriate separation from aircraft as best they can. The CRJ was on final approach. Those pilots are really focused on landing the aircraft. They've been given clearance, meaning that they have that airspace. It's theirs. They can fly through it. And then the helicopter pilots certainly have a responsibility to look out the window, the windshield of the aircraft, and make sure that they are seeing other aircraft and avoiding them as much as possible. So it's a challenging airspace.
Right. And there are lots of complicating factors that will have to be considered here. How high on the list is the altitude of the chopper in your mind?
Well, there's a reason why they set a 200-foot altitude, and that is so there is a cushion between the aircraft that are landing and the aircraft that are flying through that corridor, that passage area is used to get from one side of the airport to the other, and designed in a way to avoid conflicts. So maintaining altitude at or below that ceiling is critical. It's very important. Why the Black Hawk was at a higher altitude, whether it was really at a higher altitude, those are all things that will come out during this investigation.
And we are waiting for all of the details and evidence to come from these data recorders on board the aircraft and also the Black Hawk. What are you most anticipating to hear or learn once that is released?
I'm looking forward to hearing a full transcript of the air traffic control communications with both of the aircraft. Also, any communications within the cockpit or within the Black Hawk helicopter between the crew. How were they coordinating? Because they're very highly trained to work together to make sure that when they're operating the aircraft, they're doing it in the safest possible way. And they do it as a team, everyone looking outside. So that would be a very interesting piece of information. It's too early to rush to judgment. It's too early to suggest that it was the Black Hawk pilots or a particular air traffic controller, it was their fault. So
yeah.
we need to hold off on that, get the information, then we can come to some conclusions.
Meantime, I mean, you're a pilot, but you're also an attorney. So legally speaking, even as the investigation rolls forward, there are questions being asked legally, and I'm sure cases being prepared once we learn a little bit more. Do you have any concern that or anticipation that this will become a serious legal matter for anyone involved?
Well, I would think that it's very likely that there will be litigation that arises from this incident. More than 60 people died, unfortunately, and due to some miscalculation or miscommunication or something that fell below what we would expect from the people who are involved. So I would anticipate that will occur. But I know that responsible lawyers will be waiting to get the information that is available to make appropriate decisions and conclusions.
Yeah, one step at a time, but accountability always part of the search for answers. Timothy Loranger, thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.